So that you will not know. So that's another thing.
Okay, right, fine. I think she has already started the live streaming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually fine.
Okay, right. Wait. So we wait for a minute or two and then we start?
Yeah. 5 minutes we can wait, sir. We can start at level 5.
Right, sir.
So Dr. Sharma, is it raining out there in Kurukshetra?
Pardon?
Is it raining out there, sir?
Yeah, it is raining. Morning we had a nice rain. Now it has stopped.
Oh.
But yes, temperature is definitely very good now. It's about 32 degrees.
Very good. Very good.
A big change from 45.
Yes, and it is really raining. At some places, it's raining very badly in Assam and
Yeah.
all. It's
yes.
And because of green cover in the university, it usually rains within the campus, and outside there are no rains.
Yes, this localized effect trees has, ma'am. Definitely, trees has this effect.
Yes. So Bhavesh has also joined. Bhavesh was in touch regarding the operationals. So, and incidentally, he is a ma'am student. Ma'am was able to recognize him.
Oh, very good. Excellent.
So, should we start? It's 11. Yes. So, good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me personally, as chairperson in Department of Commerce, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra, to invite you all to the today's webinar, which is being conducted in association with the Climate Reality Project to discuss, to understand, and to deliberate upon a very important issue of climate change and how it is impacting us in the daily life and what all we can do so that we can offset the effect of the climate change. It started with an informal discussion with a friend, and then slowly, it materialized into today's event. And we are really very excited to have you all on board today morning so that we can have these specialized inputs from two very renowned speakers from the Climate Reality Project. It is indeed a matter of great pleasure for us that today Professor Manjula Chaudhary, who is the Dean Academic Affairs of Kurukshetra University, has kindly consented to be the chief guest of today's webinar. Ma'am has been into administration from almost 2 decades now, and is a great administrator, great academician, and a great source of inspiration for me personally as well, because she has been my teacher as well. Ma'am, it is a great pleasure for us. It is a matter of pride for all of us to have you today on board, and your presence is like a blessing. And we feel that, you see, by your kind words of inspiration, probably our commitment towards this very important cause of, say, preserving the environment and preserving the climate will definitely get a big boost in the university. Sir, under the guidance of Madam and Vice Chancellor Dr. Somnath Sachdeva ji, we are implementing the National Education Policy 2020. And in National Education Policy, we are not just creating rote learners, we are creating a class of students wherein their sensitivity towards environment, wherein their sensitivity towards social issues is going to be recognized and rewarded in terms of the credits which they are going to earn. It's a big change, and definitely, you know, the campus is going to see lots of people who will be having more sensitivity towards the, say, environment. It is a great pleasure for all of us that today, from the Climate Reality Project, we have Shri Aditya Pundirji. A few days back, when we were setting the tone or we were exchanging the ideas of having an event like, say, today's event, I had the pleasure and the privilege of talking to Aditya Pundirji. And before I start his formal invitation, I really found in him a wonderful human being, so committed to this cause, because such things happen only when you are committed by heart, body, mind, and soul. I am so excited to have you, Aditya ji, today virtually into our campus. Aditya Pundirji is a director, India and South Asia for the Climate Reality Project India. He took over the branch in 2010 and is posted in New Delhi. He received his training from Honorable Vice President of US, Al Gore, in 2009 on climate change, and was selected for Australian Leadership Awards training 2013 in environment. He has worked extensively in the field of climate change and sustainability in India. He has been conducting teachers training programs developed for climate education and has trained more than 11,000 teachers in the country. A great achievement indeed, sir, training the trainers. He has authored 2 books on natural World Heritage Site for UNESCO, 5 environmental education CD-ROMs, 8 comics for children on environmental issues, and has also represented on the consultation committee on climate change in India formed by UNDP, World Bank, and UNESCO. Aditya ji, we are extremely obliged to have you here today, and we are earnestly looking forward to your scholarly deliberations on a very important issue which is concerning all of us. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
He holds a master's degree in international business management and graduation in geology with a diploma in green education and environmental reporting. He loves traveling and photography. Welcome, sir. Our second speaker for the day is Shri Vivek Trivedi ji, who is working as a social development officer in the State Urban Poverty Alleviation Cell, Municipal Corporation, Chandigarh, and is a founder of Association of Professional Social Workers and Development Practitioners. He has his PhD from Center for Social Work, Punjab University, and has been awarded with Hindustan Times Brightest Young Climate Leadership Award by British Council, New Delhi, and conferred State Award in 2014 and 20 by Chandigarh Administration on 65th Republic Day and 74th Independence Day for the meritorious services in social affairs. He has keen interest in livelihood enhancement of the people affected by climate change and time how to make cities more livable. Indeed, sir, the quality of life which we all aspire for and the quality of life which we all are getting, this gap will be bridged only and only when we will have an open discussion on an important issue, because we really need to give a much better life to the people who are going to come in the days to come. Sir, Department of Commerce is a flagship institution which was established in 1971, and we are celebrating the Golden Jubilee year, this time. And we have a class of students who are committed professionally and also committed to the values which are enshrined in our wonderful university, Kurukshetra University, which has been accredited as NAC as A+ by the NAAC. So, sir, we welcome you all today for this webinar, and we are extremely thankful to the attendees also who have taken time to attend this webinar, and also will take home lots and lots of ideas which will help them to work in their own ecosystems for betterment of the climate. So with this small background, I take the privilege now to request Dr. Manjula Chaudhary, chief guest of today's webinar, to kindly give her inspirational address, ma'am.
Thank you, Professor Tejinder. A very good morning to all of you. And I congratulate Dr. Tejinder Sharma and the Department of Commerce for organizing this wonderful seminar. And I think, Tejinder ji, you should do it physically. Now we are all open and our students are very eager to attend physical events rather than online events. And there could not have been a better start than collaborating with the Climate Reality Project and inviting experts like Mr. Aditya Pundir and Dr. Vivek Trivedi. It is for the information for the participants and all the experts who are here, that at Kurukshetra University, we do have very robust departments where this climate and environment is studied. One is like we teach the compulsory environment subjects to our students. But you all know that the syllabi and everything has been provided by the government, and with the changing times, climate is much more, or environment is much more than what is prescribed in textbooks. So a student just treat it as another course rather than getting immersed into the environmental protection and understanding what wherever their little actions can matter. So as Dr. Tejinder ji said, that we are going to implement NEP, that is giving us enough leeway. And we are starting activity based, where we are giving 2 credits for activity based clubs, and these eco clubs and environment clubs can be one important area where every student can participate, and they can give inputs, like each one of them, how they can help them. And it's very important in Haryana, where most of the time whenever Delhi gets the pollution, Haryana is blamed for this burning of paddy or burning of this crop residue. This is the problem which we haven't been able to solve till date. Technical solutions are there, but these solutions are not acceptable to farmers. So somehow the gap is there. These are the issues which have to be addressed. And then surprisingly, when we were doing some interviews and some interaction with some incubators, we have an incubation center also. So we got a proposal from a young man who has worked in Israel. He said, I have the technology, I can convert this paddy husk into furniture boards, this particle board, and the particle board, its strength is much more than whatever is available in the market. It can be used for furniture. If these types of technology come in at affordable prices, there is no reason this issue cannot be solved. Though environment or climate is not, I'm not an expert or academician on it, but I'm related to it as each one of us is related. My core subject is tourism, and we often work on impact of tourism. And we all know that tourism is one of the bigger polluters as far as environment is concerned, and it has a definite impact on climate. We are seeing what is happening in Char Dham, we are seeing what is happening in this Amarnath Yatra. Everything is choco-block. Last month I traveled to Kashmir. I mean, there was hardly even a single seat in the flight or even a single room in the hotel which could be available if you're not coming with prior booking. Same is the case with the Leh. We are submitting my student is submitting a thesis on Leh. The number of tourists is much more than the number of local residents there. So I mean, who is to blame for all this? It means there is some awareness which is missing on the part of the users, because consumerism is prevailing over environmentalism. And our concept of development, which is dominated by the economics, is such: more you consume, better it is for the economics, better it is for GDP, better it is for the country, better it is for prosperity. But the more you consume, worse it is for environment and the climate. So establishing a balance between the two is very, very important. And how do you convince a customer who has enough money and he can just throw it away or can procure all the goods? how do you tell that person that you go for minimalism or reduce your consumption? I mean, it's very, very difficult. There is a psychological barrier in it. And if you look at our traditions, like I have seen the older people in Uttarakhand, when they enter into a river, they take off their slippers. They say, like, if we enter with slippers in the river, the water will get dirty. Same river, when it reaches Haridwar and Rishikesh, you start putting like sewer and other garbage into it. So that's a mindset which is very, very important. That's why I am very excited with the presence of Mr. Aditya Pundir and Dr. Vivek Trivedi. We would certainly like to collaborate and do something on like ground basis. Our students are sharp, but they have to tell like how each one of them can intervene at their own level whenever they, like Kurukshetra University is an artificial township. I mean, it's not the real life. So whatever they have here, they don't replicate when they go to their villages or their towns. That type of awareness has to be created so that when they go there, they also educate 5 or 6 more people. And when in MEP, when we are thinking of educating like from 28% to 50% of the population in higher education, there is no reason that climate or environment should not be our priority. We are all seeing what is happening to temperatures these days. And in fact, for the past 2 days, it has been raining. Otherwise, the heat was completely unbearable. And each of us were getting the feeling that air conditioners have gone out of order. They were simply not working. So, I mean, if you look at the larger perspective, the experts, of course, certainly they can contribute. And I again congratulate the department. I am very happy for the presence of experts, and I request Dr. Tejinder, please carry it forward through some memorandum of understanding or some physical activity in the university. We have a complete department of environmental sciences, where MSc, MTech and doctorates are conducted. We have department of geology also, geophysics also. So there are so many verticals which are touching on environment, and tourism also, management also. Maybe they can all come together for an integrated perspective. And I wish you all the best. And I wish all the best to Dr. Tejinder, to his department, all the participants, to the speakers also. Looking forward to meet you physically and taking it forward. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, madam. Really, your words mean a lot for us. And you have really set the tone that today's event is a beginning. And we definitely will discuss as we progress in our association about the prospective MOU or for a series of activities for training the trainers or training the students, and see how we can really all contribute towards making a real change and not merely organizing events. So with this, madam, definitely today's event is going to be the, say, torchbearer of this future course of actions. Thank you for your gracious presence. Now I take the opportunity to invite Shri Aditya Pundir ji for his address and inspiration, and guide us on the status of climate change, status of environment, and how it is impacting us, and how we all can really contribute towards making this world a better place. Over to you, Aditya.
Thank you, Dr. Tejinder. Sharma ji, it has been a pleasure to be here with you. I'm really thankful to you. And we are thankful to Dr. Manjula Chaudhary ji for setting up the tone. And she came out with some, I think, extremely practical things in what is happening today in our environment. And we are thankful to the University of Kurukshetra for giving us this opportunity to interact. And we are working a lot today with the universities for the simple reason they are the last hope. The way things are, they are the last hope. And probably by the end of this webinar, you will come to understand why I'm saying that they are the last hope. And I'll tell you a little bit about my journey before I start my presentation. That I came from, as you said, as you rightly said, I was geology. I came from business background, training, working with multinational corporations. So it was all going fine. Then when I realized that things are not really happening in the right order. And in 2007, I saw this movie, Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore. And I was really surprised that how much the climate change is going to impact the planet. So when I got my training in 2009 in Australia, and I came back to India, I was very excited. And I was giving a lot of presentations and I was talking about it. But the general theme was that this problem is going to come in the time of my grandchildren, or probably the next generation. It is not going to happen in my time. It is not going to happen probably in my children's time also, but probably in the time of my grandchildren and further. So this was my opinion in 2010. And in 2022, it is on our doorsteps. Climate change is happening now. So this has become a really like probably the scientists and everybody, the community, they overshot by more than 50 to 100 years, I would say. It is literally happening now. And this the presentation I'm going to give you is going to show you like how things are changing and what we have to do. So to make it simple for the participants, I have divided my presentation into 3 parts. The first part, we will try to talk a little bit about science so that everybody understands what the climate change is in scientific terms. Then we will talk about the impacts, that why should we be so worried? Why is the world talking about it? Why are the presidents and the prime ministers of the world getting together to discuss it? And then finally, I will talk about a few solutions which we can do both at the policy level, both at the personal level. So I think within about half an hour, I'll try to cover all this. And in the end, then probably after Vivek ji has said, we can take questions. So please take a note of them. So I'll just share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
sir. Okay, thank you very much. Then I'll start. So this to understand climate change, we have to start thinking about our planet as one. We have to start thinking about our planet as our home. This is the only planet we have. We can go wherever we want, but this is the only place where the life exists. And the life exists because of the atmosphere. When we look up every morning, we can see a blue sky. Well, the life does not exist beyond 7 or 8 kilometers where the atmosphere is. So this is here, we have all the gases, we have oxygen, we have nitrogen, we have greenhouse gases, and atmosphere plays a very important role in sustaining life. Now, if you look at the atmosphere, of course, it gives us oxygen and all the relevant gases, but it performs a very important function of regulating the temperature of Earth. Because if you see, if this atmosphere was not there with greenhouse gases, then the temperature of the Earth would have been around minus 18 degrees. But today, if you see, the average temperature is around 15 degrees temperature. So if this 15 degrees temperature is because the greenhouse gases which are present in the atmosphere, they trap heat. And when they trap heat, they raise the temperature of the planet. So these greenhouse gases, and where are these greenhouse gases coming from? Some come out naturally from, they have been coming out from volcanoes, they have been coming out from forests. But you can see there are a lot of other things now they are coming out from. They are coming out from coal plants, industrial processes, agriculture, fertilizers, like you see oil production. So there's so many places we are coming out. But unfortunately, what has happened is that now we are producing so much of these greenhouse gases, and literally producing about 162 million tons man-made warming pollutant every day, that they have raised the temperature of the Earth. Today, if you see, the maximum amount of pollution is coming, global warming is coming from the burning of fossil fuels. Because whatever energy you are using, the electricity you are using today in India, it's more or less coming from coal. And globally also, it's more than 60% of the electricity is still coming from the fossil fuels. So these are the major pollutant as far as the greenhouse gases goes. And now the new IPCC reports are saying that methane is also, which is coming out from natural gas, it is a natural gas coming out from oil, comes out from farms, comes out from dairying. This gas is also about 30% of today as far as a contributor of climate change is concerned. So methane has become again a very, very important part of the global warming. And people generally ask that how can you raise the temperature of a planet? Well, this is the 6 lakh atomic bombs going off every day. This is the kind of energy we are putting into atmosphere every day, if you look at it. So that's a very huge amount of energy which is going into atmosphere. So this energy is what is making the planet more warm. And you can see the number of years. Like if you see, most of this 20 years, if you see, most of the years have been, if you look at the last records have been maintained since 1900, and the last 20 years has produced some incredibly hot years. And If you go further down, you will be surprised to see that the last few years have been one of the hottest. Whether it was 2021, they say is going to be the hottest, but it appears to me every year they break the record. First they said it was 2019, then they said 18, then so every year it is becoming hotter and hotter. So this is how the situation is today. And if you look at this slide, you will see a different colors out here. Where you see the deep orange color or deep, you can say brownish color, these are the places where the temperature is going above 45 degrees. And you see, unfortunately, a major part of India is covered in this, and especially the Kurukshetra, north part of India, is either deep red or it's orangish. That is, we are in the round of 50 degrees. So this is the thing, this is the challenge which we are facing now. And last year it was 50 degrees at a couple of countries. And now I think the March to 2022 has been incredible year. First of all, they say it is the hottest March ever recorded. Then we have already have 280 heat waves in the country, which is a record in itself. And it is only month of June. We still have to see another few days down. And already we have suffered more than 280 heat waves. And the Delhi recorded 49.5 for the first time. I have been living in Delhi for a long time, never saw it beyond 47 or 45, but 49.5 is incredible. And if you don't improve things, things may get worse. Looking at the temperature globally, if you see, 51.6, 52 degrees temperature has become a routine temperature at a lot of places. And what is more worrying now is that the night temperature is going higher. The day temperature is fine, but the nights generally are cool. But you must have observed, like people staying in Kurukshetra and people staying in north of India, that the nights are now not very cool. There also the temperature is high. So this is something very worrisome, especially for the agriculture, birds, animals. Now, all this energy I'm talking about, this heat, where is it going? 93% of this heat is being trapped by this way, whatever we are producing is being trapped by the oceans. So if the oceans were not there, then the temperature would have been even higher. Thanks to the oceans, they are taking 93% of the heat which is being produced, they are absorbing that heat. And when the ocean will heat up, what will happen? You will have more moisture in the atmosphere. You will have more energy being given to the cyclones. And this is what we are seeing for the first time. The East Coast is quite popular with cyclones coming very frequently, but it is now also on the West Coast, like this, the cyclone Taukte, which came last year. It was such a powerful storm that had it hit Mumbai, it just missed Mumbai by a few degrees. It would have been a devastation of a different level in the country, in the city, you can say. It was traveling at 160 kilometers per hour and a very rare, like there have been no probably such cyclones in the last 100 years. And in the last 10 years, a number of them have been recorded, with Taukte, of course, being a very severe storm. There was a strain. And of course, when these storms come, the whole area like Gujarat, parts of Maharashtra, every place was covered with massive amount of rainfall. Talking about the East Coast, the storms, the Bay of Bengal is very hot. The storms are getting stronger and it is also getting better. They say that for every degree rise, 7% increase in moisture happens. So therefore, what is happening is you are having very severe storms. Like the Amphan storm, it caused a damage of about $15 billion. So that is a kind of a storm which has hit the Sundarban area. It impacted Odisha, impacted Kolkata. And I think we saw this destruction happening all on our television screens. And Bangladesh, a close neighbor to us, is suffering very, very badly by these storms. And the agriculture is absolutely ruined and people are moving from one place to another. And as you look at this slide, 1 million people have already migrated. So this is the kind of impact this is having. Let us look at some international thing also. It's not only happening in India, it's happening all over. You look at Haiti, look at Thailand, look at Philippines, like all over the world where you see, you will be having an incredible amount of storms are coming. And Philippines especially is a country which is having category 5 storms. So this is creating a huge amount of, you can say, pressure for the community, for the countries. And these are not very rich countries. We are not talking about United States or Australia, these rich countries, even they are very badly impacted. But these poor countries like the Philippines, Bangladesh, even part India, this gets devastated when you have such a storm coming. So as I was talking before, that as the temperature increases, the storms become more powerful. The moisture in the atmosphere is more, and for every degree rise, there's 7% more moisture. Now you can imagine the oceans are so huge, and if 7% more moisture goes into the atmosphere, what will happen? It is leading to extreme events. This is something you must be seeing in whenever you go to in newspapers, in televisions. Everybody's talking about extreme event. Now, what is extreme event? Let's try to understand. Extreme event is when 1 month rain falls in 2 days, or 1 week rain falling in 2 hours. So that is an extreme event, because when so much of water falls, you have events like this. Like everybody has in the north knows about the Uttarakhand state event we had in 2013, where absolute destruction was caused in Uttarakhand, more than 10,000 life lost. Still people are missing in some places. Not talking about floods in Bihar. In 2020, it came last year. And again, now Assam is having those incredible floods happening. Again, these extreme rainfall also leads to glacier bursts. Like if you remember last year, right in the beginning, we had this glacier burst happening and on the river Ganga. So this is again something which is happening because of extreme amount of rain. The water, the glacier cannot hold that much of water and it bursts because it's on a hilltop. So these type of things will become more and more popular. And then again, coming to the Western Ghats, where they've had some intense rainfall happening last year. I have a lot of friends here, like our climate reality. A lot of people are there in this part of the Western Ghats. So I was very worried, and I was continuously talking to them. And they all said they are quite old people. They said they have never seen such events in the past. They said they have, and this is a situation coming from Raigada and all those places. They said they have never seen such a disaster. They have never seen such a landscape, because this whole Western Ghats consists of these small mountains running. So there's a lot of landslides when the heavy rainfall happens. So a lot of death and destruction happened because of that. Again, globally, if you see, the floods have been, extreme events have been happening around the globe, whether it is Bangladesh. China has been having a number like this is, they say, 1,000 years happening. The amount of rainfall they had in 1 day was like in 1,000 years happening. Same situation in the countries like Turkey, Afghanistan, a country which is already absolutely at the bottom of the world in terms of human development because of the war, because of the so many problems, is now also facing these extremes. So it makes very difficult for people. Like places like Germany, Europe is very well, they've got a lot of infrastructure, but still they are finding it difficult to contain such waters. Despite all the infrastructure, despite all the warnings, it is a very bad scenario, and they're trying to fortify the cities, but to no avail. So these type of events, let's change the continent. Again, the similar type of events are happening in Brazil, Indonesia. So to think back, what are the kind of problems which we face from such extreme events? You will have bridges, airports. This is I put in this slide nearly most of the things which get destroyed, whether it's power lines, power plants, roads, sewage system. Most of the infrastructure gets very badly damaged when you are having such type of events. And they say that in 2021, about $40 billion loss. That was the kind of loss people suffered because of this. Now, we have seen one part that ocean gets absorbed 93% of the heat. There's more evaporation. Because of the more evaporation, there is extreme event. You have cyclones and you have extreme events. But this is the second phase of this monster. Because of the heat, the land is also losing a lot of moisture. And when the land loses a lot of moisture, what will you have? You will have droughts. So now I think you will be able to understand why everybody is talking about climate change, rainfall they're talking about droughts. So the cause is same. It is because of this extreme heat. This is because of more moisture, you have more cyclones and extreme events. And because of the land losing moisture, you have severe droughts coming. So the severe droughts, India is, I have traveled into these parts. I have been to Chennai, I have been to parts of Maharashtra where these droughts are happening. And these droughts are very severe. Like I was talking to one of these places I'm showing you a picture of. They said they have not seen rainfall for the last 10 years now. And the lady who had made tea for us, she said she had walked 5 kilometers to get water for us for a tea. So it's very, very embarrassing when you have that cup of tea, and you get emotional about it also, that just how much hardship it is. Like we people are so used to some good life, who are living in cities, big cities. But the life is very, very difficult if you go down to the villages, you go down to these places which are very, very badly impacted by climate change. Similarly, this is happening globally. It is India, of course, we are suffering a lot of droughts. But if you go to North America, you go to Europe, the dams are the dams are just getting empty. There's not enough water happening. You go to parts of Mexico, again intense droughts. And what is leading to after these droughts and heat is that it is leading to the rise in temperature. The forests are drier, and when the forests are dry, what will happen? There are big chances of forest fires. Now the picture I'm showing you, this is the picture of San Francisco, and this is absolutely looking orange because of the fires. So this is the condition, and the fires have been burning massively. We remember 2019, we had these massive fires in Australia, where the smoke, they say, traveled around the world. Then in 2021, again, after that incredible heat, we had a lot of fires in America. We had fires in Spain. We had fires in Greece. People said that they have never seen these fires in their lifetime. And talking of fires, even in Uttarakhand, we had fires starting this year very early after the March heat wave. And similarly, in Odisha last year, we had fires starting after the heat waves. So heat waves, hot temperature is also one of the reasons which leads to these fires happening. And because there's a lot of lightning events happening, thunder and lightning also leads to a lot of forest fires in a lot of places. So this time it has been absolutely, Europe has been literally burning last year, and everybody is really scared about this year, that this, if everybody wants that this year should not get repeated what happened in 2021. Like, it was incredible scenes. Now let's talk about glaciers. The glaciers are the ones which are very, very badly impacted by rise in temperature. Everybody talks about the rivers running dry. Yes, it is a possibility that the rivers might run dry, because first the glaciers will melt. You will have a lot of water, excess water first you will have. And after that, the water quantity will start decreasing. And a decline in ice mass because of the heat is being seen globally. You look at the Greenland, the amount of ice loss which they are having, and the amount of the ice sheet, they say that's about 1 million square mile. That's the more than the average. This is the kind of melting which is now taking place. And when you have this type of a melting happening, all this water, especially the fresh water, is going into the ocean. And we have heat waves in Haryana, we have heat waves in Delhi, but imagine having a heat wave in the South Pole. We're having in Antarctica. You are having heat waves in Antarctica. The temperature is reaching 20 degrees. If you ask anybody what's the temperature in Antarctica, they'll say it should be -20, -25, and they're right. But imagine having a temperature of 20 degrees in Antarctica. So that is what the worry is, and that is what is leading to a lot of melting. And when you have sea levels rising, what will happen? The coastal areas will get flooded. A lot of media is now writing about Mumbai, by 2050, the Mumbai will be literally flooded at most of the seacoast area. Well, this is a reality at many places, whether it is Maldives, whether it's America. Like you see, a lot of infrastructure is built on the seacoast. And now if the water rises by 1 meter, then you are finished. And especially for countries like, especially which are small countries like Kiribati, which are small islands, they have nowhere to go. There was an interesting story that I heard when I went to Maldives. We had gone to meet the Maldives government, and they told us that they are trying to negotiate with India and Sri Lanka if they can buy land for the people of Maldives, because they say that probably by next century, there will be no island. Everything will be covered by the ocean. And the same situation is happening in a lot of these islands, small islands. They are totally surrounded by sea, and the sea is moving in. Bangladesh is, as I said before, also more than 1 million people are migrating. People are migrating up, and the sea is moving in. And because of the sea moving in, the salinity is causing for the agriculture to become very difficult. And they say by 2100, 14.2 trillion worth of property will be under threat. And if you look at the cities which will be under threat, unfortunately for us, the top 2 cities are from India. Kolkata and Mumbai are the 2 cities, followed by Dhaka and Guangzhou, which are at the front, you can say, at the front line of climate change. This crisis is not only impacting the physical system, it is the biodiversity crisis which it is creating. and the extinction which is going to happen is going to be very, very worrisome, because, you know, we all are part of the biodiversity, and biodiversity loss is going to be not only impact us about our food and our animals, but this is actually what life is all about. And currently there's a massive loss, like literally 50% on land and nearly another 50% loss of biodiversity in the oceans. So these are some very worrying signs, like, especially with the heating of ocean. As we said, 93% heat going into ocean temperature going up, and the ocean temperature going up is impacting the coral reefs, which are, you can say, the nursery of all the things. Now let's talk about a few human systems. I talked about natural system, I talked about droughts, I talked about floods, extreme events, we talked about cyclones, we talked about biodiversity loss, we talked about glacier loss, we talked about how the fires in the ocean, in the forest is going to impact us. But now let's talk about the human system. Like, how is it going to impact you and me, even if we are sitting in Kurukshetra or Delhi, we are sitting. The one most important thing it's going to hit is the food supply. And I think as in March heat wave, which happened in Haryana, when you saw what happened, because of Haryana, Punjab, you had a very, very hot March, and the wheat crop was totally destroyed. We had a subpar wheat crop all over the India. And this is what has been predicted already by the scientists. Like, if you see, they're predicting by climate change will lead to -7% corn, -6% wheat, -3% rice, and -3% soya. And these are the major things which we eat. And another double whammy is that the world population is not going down. The world population is increasing. We will be 10 billion people by 2050. So you have more mouths to feed, and you have less food in the basket. So this is a crisis which we are looking at, which will be a huge humanitarian crisis in coming times. And it will be compounded by loss of minerals also, because this what happened in the March of 2022, you saw the formation of the grain was not happening place. Similarly, the zinc, copper, iron, these minerals, they are not very well found in the what you can say, because of the climate change, they are not found in the crops which we eat, and this is what we eat them for. So this is going to become definitely in the coming times a challenge, that how do we feed these 10 billion people in next 30 years if we are having less of food coming from land, less of food coming from the oceans. Now let's quickly talk about the water. The global water use, you know, about 70% is used by agriculture. And if you look at the major groundwater aquifers, India is one of the countries which picks up the maximum water from the aquifer. And the water scarcity is so much that today 40% of the world population does not have enough water. And if you see this slide, all the red countries which you see, right from starting from Japan, going on to India, Saudi Arabia, and the top part of Africa, the Central Africa and the North Africa, these all countries, they expect that the water scarcity will be so much that we might lose up to 6% of a GDP. Like, that is the kind of loss which is expected because of this. And similarly, talking about the air quality is again something people say this is not when I give this presentation to down south and in the Northeast, people don't believe this is a picture. They say it's a Photoshop picture. But as you people in the North know, people in Kurukshetra would be knowing, and the people in Delhi definitely know, this is a picture of Delhi. This is the reality which we are facing in the winter month, which Dr. Manjula also talked about, the crop burning. So this is a picture of that time. And this air pollution, because of the climate impact, is one of the largest killers, you can say, in the world. Literally 9 million people are under threat. And all these problems are leading to a lot of migration. Migration and poverty, these are the two things which are now a direct impact of climate change. So we will have to really work on it. We will have to find out how do we solve this problem, because if we don't solve the problem, we will be seeing a huge amount of migration happening globally. So I've been talking a lot about the negatives, what is happening. So I talked about the science, I talked about the impacts, and now let's talk about the solutions. The fight is still not lost. I think we should not say that everything is over. So people in the Kurukshetra University, all the students should pack up and go. What's the point of studying if there's going to be no good planet? But no, this planet, this life, this fight has to be won. And I'm quite sure that we will be able to come out with a solution. And that is where the universities and the new colleges, these are going to play a very important role in the coming times. To begin with, since it's a problem where the policy is involved, where the people are involved, so the governments of the world have been working, And you must have heard a lot about Paris Agreement, where the governments of the world came together, all the president, the prime minister, our prime minister was also there. They agreed that they have to work on climate change and reduce the greenhouse gases. So what are the targets? The current target is the 2 degrees of the Paris Agreement by 2100, but now they're saying, no, please let us make it 1.5 degrees, because that is a target which we have to achieve. And for achieving this, they want the energy mix to shift from coal to natural gas to totally renewables, because the maximum greenhouse gases are coming from fossil fuels. So the easiest thing to do is what? Save electricity. I think this is the easiest thing to do, because for every unit we save in the house, we save 2 units at the power plant, because the distribution losses are literally 40%. So the easiest thing is we should go for more efficiency. We should go for things which are more energy efficient. We should try to save electricity. We should change our bulbs and everything to LED, 5-star appliances. So that is a route we should follow. And there's a lot of business opportunity also in this for the young people who want to start these businesses, who are looking for green jobs. So there's a huge business opportunity in making buildings energy efficient now. It's a huge market which is growing every year. And the reason is why of this growth and this potential is because of the potential saving. The cost of equipment is getting down every year. And the biggest savior probably in the future is going to be solar. As you see, the solar energy is becoming one of the dominant form of energy. And India is also doing some incredible work in solar now. And these farms are very big. People say the solar can power a house, probably a factory, but how can it power a city? But you'll be surprised to know that these solar farms are so big now that you have to literally take a jeep to go around them. It could be the circumference could be more than 7 to 8 kilometers. So when we are talking about these big farms, they have a potential of running a city like Chandigarh. So this is a practical solution which we are looking at now. And another good part is that the cost is going down. Now, currently, I'm quite sure that you must be paying in Kurukshetra, you must be paying a cost of at least anything between 4 rupees to 8 rupees. That is the cost of electricity now. It could be 6 rupees, it could be 8 rupees, it can be down to 4 rupees at some places. But for solar, we received a cost of 2 rupees. That is the cost which was given for bidding. And this is all happening because the cost of solar is going down and the cost of, you can say, the lithium ion batteries, both are going down. So this is leading to this growth, you can say, of suddenly this growth which is coming is happening because of this. And some very interesting things are happening. Like, for example, here you see in Australia, they have put up these plants. They're like for the countries like Singapore. So Singapore is having now literally a huge pipe of electricity, this cable going, and they're generating electricity in Australia. And this electricity is being given to the city of Singapore. So these type of innovations are going to come in the future, where we will have a lot of sun happening. Those places will be supplying energy to the places where the sun is less. Then, of course, we have where the wind is blowing, clean energy. That wind energy is a very good form of clean energy. Coming to transport, again, clean form of energy, again to power transport. Delhi Metro has literally saved Delhi. Otherwise, Delhi would have been totally unlivable by now. And now they're building metros in most of the cities. The reason is it's a clean transport. It's a very good transport. And now the electric cars are coming, which is probably the most exciting thing which has happened in the past few years. And if you see the list of countries which are saying that we are going to phase out the fossil fuel engines, it's growing. Even India is saying by the 2030, we have to at least phase out at least the government is, well, initially they were saying that they want all the cars to be electric by 2030. But after the pushback, now the government has said, okay, fine, not by 2030, but at least we want a majority of all the commercial vehicles to go green. So this is how things are. And yes, India is moving on this path very fast. And this is going to be very much saving. And before moving ahead, people say that still electric cars are expensive. That is true. But we are expecting by 2025 to 26, you will start seeing the parity where the cost will be equal of the fossil fuel. So this is something good which is happening. And if you see the global companies, more than 300 companies, global companies, they are all shifting to renewables. And these companies have now proper plans. These are not just simply, you can say, paper plans. Now they are being forced by the governments that you have to come out with a plan which will be monitored. So a lot of companies globally are now coming up with the plans. Coming to water solutions, rainwater harvesting is something which is extremely important. We have to start conserving water, and rainwater harvesting structures will be the need of the hour, and Climate Reality is doing a lot of work in rainwater harvesting. Similarly, talking about solutions, Planting trees is very important, as Dr. Tejinder was talking about planting trees in the university. Yes, this is one of the very important things. And our climate reality project is also planting about 1 million trees every year. That is the target we are working on in the coastal regions and in the Assam and all the with the fruit trees especially, because it helps in the livelihoods of people. So we are also trying to run a green campus program. We are trying to take this education about climate change into the institutions, because unless the institutions understand, whether it is the University of Kurukshetra or it is the University of Symbiosis in Pune or in any part of the country, it is the universities have these young people who will be working on the solutions, and who are the ones who will be talking about how we can come out with green jobs, how we can come out with better solutions, because climate emissions are everywhere and we have to work on them on a very macro scale. And of course, as we know, this is the planet which we are living on. A lot of people, we have, at least I had a good time when I was growing up in Dehradun. We had so much of trees, we had so much of lovely atmosphere, we had so much of lovely places to go to. But unfortunately now, the trees are decreasing everywhere and it's becoming worse for the younger generation. And I think it is a moral question which we have to say, think of, that did this planet belong to us, and aren't we not supposed to give it in the same condition to the next generation? And I think the young people of today are very conscious, and I keep meeting a lot of people around the world, I would say, and the young people are the ones now who are actually standing up and asking that what are you people doing about climate change and how can I help in climate change? So this is a very good thing which is coming up, and I'm quite sure if we are able to move in this direction and if we keep working on it, we will be able to find a solution. And as they say, as our chairman says, that the solving this climate crisis is within our grasp, but we need people like you to stand up and act. This is what the message from our chairman was. So thank you very much for listening to me, and over back to you, Dr. Tejinder.
Thank you, Aditya ji. It's been really what I would say a mesmerizing presentation which you have made, an eye-opening presentation which you have made, a presentation which really makes us introspect, makes us think the direction in which we are really going. And indeed, the change is happening on yearly basis now. We find every year is becoming worse than its preceding year. And we are really worried about where we go 2030, 2040, 2050. But then again, the silver lining is that it's the youth who are going to drive us towards a better future, towards a better earth. So your words of wisdom are really very, very inspirational. Extremely grateful to you. Now I invite Dr. Vivek Trivedi ji to kindly give us the perspective on how it means to you and me on our daily life, and what we can do to build a better Chandigarh, to build a better Ambala, to build a better Kurukshetra, to build a better Kathal and Yamunanagar, because this is the ambience, this is the ecosystem which really matters to you and me. Over to you, Shri Vivek Trivedi ji.
Thank you, Dr. Tejinder Sharma ji, and I must thanks to Professor Manjula Chaudhary, Dean Academic Affairs, Kurukshetra University, Mr. Aditya Pundir, my big brother, or say we are good friends, and definitely Bhavesh Swami ji, who has linked me to this webinar. So I'm extremely thankful to all of you. And as far as this webinar is concerned, like changing overview around the world and its impacts on climate change. So world order is no doubt it's changing and it's the natural course, but somehow human induced world order is of prime importance and key focus to be addressed. See what is happening in the present scenario. We are watching through news televisions Russia and Ukraine crisis, and we are having impacts on our Indian markets. We are feeling price rises of gasoline, like fuels, oil, and food grains as well. Yesterday I was watching a news channel which is giving the scenario of Pakistan. Even if Pakistan is our like neighboring country, was once our part, they are struggling much worse than us. Sri Lanka, So this is, this is example, if the world order is changing through geopolitics, through invasions, through, some neo-colonialism, it is impacting the local markets. So I'll keep my focus on Haryana, as, sir has pointed out for Haryana. And I am inspired by, Manjula Chaudhary in a sense that, she has touched my nerves on, Kedarnath. She narrated one incidence of Kedarnath, which was happened somewhere, 7-8 years back. And it not inspired, but it's instigating my mind. I have penned down, once he mentioned Kedarnath, I was searching my email and I could recollect my, one artistry on, that incident. So I want to recall, and it is a summary of entire, webinar. So I just want to have a permission from Dr. Tejinder Sharma so that, I shall narrate and set the tone for this. I'll take 5 minutes. I'm not sure, the background of the participant is from India or, other countries also, or Haryana.
Yes, they are from other. Yes, they are definitely from other countries. We have a message of a person from Afghanistan.
Yeah, I saw.
And there are so many international students also, which we have on our campus, and they have also joined. So you have a global audience.
So, I'll keep this aside because it's in Hindi. I'll keep it at the end, and then I'll straight away.
They all understand Hindi, no issues.
Fine. So, like that night has, made me to write, in perspective of, the environment conservation, disaster management, and, urban expansion and unchecked development. Like प्रकृति के अमानवीय दोहन, अंतहीन विस्तार शहरीकरण का, जंगलों के अनियंत्रित कटान, खनन भूगर्भ का, क्षरण पर्वतों में धर्म की अंध आस्था व धर्म का व्यापार, पर्यटन से जन्मा असंतुलन ही तो आर्यवर्त के हृदय उत्तराखंड पर कर गई वह काल की काली रात, काल के कपाल पर कठोरा घात रूपी एक त्रासदी। कहीं खिसकते हिमखंड, फूटते जलाशय, खिसकती जमीन, मंदाकिनी के उफनते तेवर, वीरान सूखी घाटियां होती जलमग्न, कहीं चीख, कहीं पुकार, कहीं मौत के पहले की चीत्कार, बच्चे, महिलाएं, युवा, वृद्ध सभी अमानवीय प्रकृति के कहर का भौतिक शक्ति से भी सामना नहीं कर पाए। थी आस्था केदारनाथ में, शायद रह गई मौन, शांत और निरुत्तर, और कर गई सभी को स्तब्ध, बना प्रश्न चिन्ह एक आस्था पर। आस्था के कई पर्याय, भक्ति, श्रद्धा और विश्वास, क्या ये पर्याय काल की काली अमावसी रात रुद्र के प्रहार को, प्रकृति के कर्ण द्वारों को भेद नहीं पाए? This is a question on, the existing, mechanisms for, forecasting of weather patterns, weather conditions. We were failed. समा लिया सभी को अपने आक्रोश में, चाहे वह जमी दोज होती इमारतें, सड़कें, पुल, all were demolished. Bridges were, collapsed. Hotels were submerged. जो शहरीकरण और विकास के थे मानक, those were the, models for the development. तथा विश्व में प्रसिद्धि थी पर्यटन में, भूगोल का स्वरूप भी बदला और अनियंत्रित शहरी विकास पर आया प्रश्न। After that, everybody questioned the development, urban development. Who has given the permission? Who has made the unchecked development like that? क्या इसी विकास पर हमारी विज्ञान अभियांत्रिक प्रणाली इतराती है? तो शायद सतत विकास हुए खंड खंड उत्तराखंड, उत्तर के आंचल उत्तरांचल को सजोने की और करें प्रतिबद्ध सभी को शिक्षा, संस्कार और विचार, महापुरुषों और देवों की भूमि, गंगा यमुनी सभ्यता की जानकी मां भारती के आंचल को पवित्रता, सहजता को आजन्म जीवित रख, सभ्यताओं में श्रेष्ठ होकर भी कहीं हम लुप्त ना कर दें। This is what, I feel like, after listening to news, after listening to many people who were there, who, just got escaped. So this is my feeling, and I have tried to written in literary form the expansion, the words, which were, in the terms of like development or, disaster. So this is my, Vedna. मेरे अंदर की वेदना थी, तो मैंने उसको विचारों से व्यक्त कर दिया. Now coming now to Haryana. What is the scenario in Haryana? Haryana emits approximate 2% of natural greenhouse gases. If we go for power sector, power generation accounts for 47% of carbon dioxide emissions. Agriculture accounts for 82% and 91% emissions of CH4, methane, and nitrogen dioxide. And these, emissions of nitrogen dioxide and methane, comes from, livestock farming, rice cultivation, rice cultivation, biomass burning, synthetic fertilizers of, nitrogen dioxide, etc. And it also accounts for municipal solid waste. we are a part of generating municipal solid waste. And I will come on gradually, one by one, how we can encounter and how we can play our role. So these are the some important aspects which I just got statistics from the Haryana climate action plan. And this is how Haryana is getting impacted of climate change impacts gradually. If you go further, Haryana accounts for 85% of agriculture. And you will be surprised to know the statistics of forest cover, that is 2.4%. So this is the scenario in Haryana, and we have to act. Since Haryana was a part of once Punjab and Himachal, so it was after reorganization, Haryana got into a separate entity as a state, and Haryana means Hari Bhumi, like the land of agriculture. The land, most of the fertile lands are in the north, the GT road side of Haryana. Good production wheat. And if you remember, if I remember my childhood, I used to read like the Green Revolution. Green Revolution we used to study, and we were praising a lot of Green Revolution. And what were the characteristics of Green Revolution? If I recall my childhood in my schools, high yielding varieties of seeds. That's why we seeds. The fertilizers, the insecticides, pesticides, all these were development of sign of development. But that time we never thought of introducing word like like green technology, like ecological balance. Then we were in the race of development of production, high production, meeting out the need of food grains in the country, becoming self-reliant. That was the big question. So we moved ahead. Even Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, all were in the race for the producting, having huge production of wheat. So simultaneously, we lost, the crop balance also. Even I always, when I ever have the opportunity to speak or share my views, then I always recall my basic sciences, which I read. Even I am in now social sciences, but the sciences, which you read until your 10th class. Balanced crops. There's no balance. If you have the cash crops, then you are yielding only cash crops, only wheat, only rice. But there was, a concept called nitrogen fixation bacteria. And that yields, natural nitrogen to your fertility of your soil. But nowadays, we are giving, fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers. And we arrived at a junction that we are at the crossroads. We don't know where to go, what to leave, what to switch, what to replace. Huge question mark. And how to address these issues, that's a big challenge. And no doubt, like Aditya ji has given a very beautiful presentation, and he is described, the international scenario to a local scenario and the solutions there. Even Dr. Tejinder Sharma has also pointed out that role of youth is there. And Haryana is known for youth. If you see the world scenario in sports, Haryana rules the country. If you see the policies of the government, Haryana rules the country for the youth development in sports. So I must account here, since it is organized by a university and Department of Commerce, and university means the Center for Youth. And we have got a demographic dividend in the country, which accounts for more than 40%. It means there's no dearth of resources. Those who can implement, those who can bring change, those who can inspire others. So how to do it? Let us talk of agriculture. How agriculture is being addressed in Haryana. If I'm not wrong, then like there are two types of crops in the entire northern region, in like I mentioned Western UP, Haryana and Punjab, Kharif and Rabi. And if you see the statistics, like there's a study like 45 years, since 45 years, what is happening? Because I also tell you, and I also differentiate here for your knowledge, that climate change is not a very old term. If you go back, like if I see my 80s, then there was like greenhouse gas effect, like environment conservation, environment pollution. Climate change is a term which hardly, I'm not wrong, if I'm not wrong, it is somewhere in the late 2000. Like Al Gore first described in somewhere when his that documentary was popular. And before that, these terms were not there. So climate, with the pattern of change in climate, the terminology has also got changed. So if you see, the Kharif and Rabi pattern of crops. Since last 45 years, the change in the environment has made change in the agricultural pattern also. Gradually, the crops under Rabi like wheat, peas, these crops are getting down, and rise in pattern of like Kharif crops. Kharif, like people got confused. Kharif means like cotton, which requires heat, the crops which doesn't require too much of moisture. So these are gradually rising. So what we shall do, and since climate change is not confined to only Department of Environmental Science, it is a multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. So we are not experts of agriculture, we are not experts of forestry, we are advocating this issue. So here the role of Department of Agriculture in university or Department of Agriculture in the state comes. What? The young people who are in the villages, those who are residing in the villages, who have not migrated to urban cities for study or for anything else, if they are in the village, they shall get inspired. From whom? From the persons who are studying agriculture in the university, from the persons who are in the Department of Agriculture. Their responsibility is to communicate to the young people in the villages to propagate those crops which are actually environment friendly, which are actually seasoned. We are now working against the seasons. If you go to the market, if you go to the vegetable market, you will see peas, green peas entire year. You'll find carrots, the entire season, all seasons. This is also actually disturbing. The crops which are meant to be for a season has to be cropped in that season only. We shall not go beyond the natural boundaries. So here the role of youth comes. I know one of my friend. He is staying in Haryana and he is doing job. He has done research also, and he's practicing agriculture with basic concepts, and he's trying to revive. Even he's using Balgadi also. I will not say here, go and leave your car and go to bullock carts. This is not the time when we switch from cars to bullock carts or horse carts. But the right way is to go with the nature, go with the changing nature, go with the technology which are emerging, environment friendly technology. We shall not resist to change. Why we are in trouble? Because we always resist. And that is a problem with the mindset. That is problem with the psychology. That is problem with the ego. So here comes the role of, again, youth to transform, the sciences into simpler knowledge form. Everyone do not understand greenhouse gas emissions. Everyone do not understand carbon dioxide, monoxide, methane, nitrogen dioxide. So here comes the role of youth. They shall interpret, the sciences of climate change into basic, concepts, so that layman in the villages, layman in the slums, in the rehabilitation colonies do understand how their simple act can matters a lot. And these things accounts for lifestyle change also and behavior modification also. I talked about agriculture. I'll also refer here, because I am being given the responsibility to speak upon Haryana. I'll refer here one young person from Haryana, from Sonipat, and he is in Chandigarh in a job, but he is connected to his rural belts. And he did one project under me while doing masters in social work also. Even I'm inspired by him. I haven't gone for such actions at the field, but I'm inspired from him, being one of my students. What he is doing, he has planted not a plant, not 10 plants, 100 plants. He has gone for plantation of lakhs of trees, and he got inspired from the Paryavaran with Inka. There was no formal education on environmental science, and his name is Devinder Sura. And I request Dr. Saab to invite him sometime to your university or your department to meet your student to listen to him. He's in job. He is not responsible. I can plant 1 tree or 2 tree or 10 tree, but he has made commitment to his own village, to his own commitment, and he has developed a nursery also. And he doesn't sell anything, and he only cultivate. And he only prepared 3 plants: neem, bargad, and people. And if you see the roadside of Haryana, even Dr. Saab, and all of you, if you recall your again childhood, if you travel from buses or, from any mode of transport on any highway, state highway, you'll find, both side tree plantation. And it's a mandate. Even if India got freedom, prior to that, plantation was a part of, the planning of, this thing. If you see nowadays, both sides of the roads are having eucalyptus. So that mentality has to get changed. What type of trees, what type of species, which gives, you shadow, you gives fruits, you have to those, plantations. So we have to work on this agricultural aspects also, and only youth can play an important role. I'll here cite one example. It's not related to here, but it's from England. There was a bunch of boys. Plantation is not allowed everywhere. Like in Chandigarh, if you want to plant a tree where you want, you cannot plant because it's been planned under a plan. Which kind of species are to be planted on which side? So you cannot plant a tree on and on where you want. So the same way every city has got their master plan. So what those boys used to do, they used to plant tree in the night. Because once they plant tree in the night, you cannot get uprooted in the morning. So these are some strategies of youth, and youth are definitely vocal. They are very action oriented and daring also. And in this scenario, in climate science and climate change, we require people who dare to act, because they have got, somewhere, trapped in shells. And how these shells are made of? These shells are made up of consumerism. These cells are made up of high ego, flaunt behavior. I am not, pro to any, like youth segment, but youth must observe or see or decide while purchasing vehicles. While purchasing vehicles, I don't say you don't purchase, luxury vehicles. Purchase luxury vehicles as much as luxury you can afford, but think of the technology which is available in the right now, and think of reducing your carbon footprint through your vehicular pollution. That can be one thing which you can do from your university, from your side. And another thing which I want you people to go for, that is education for sustainable development. Right now, if you ask me, okay, go back to your basics of lifestyle, I will definitely resist. Honestly, I'm saying I will resist, because I am in a situation, I am at a juncture where I cannot go back. But education for sustainable development is the terminology and the strategy adopted by UNESCO, and what it accounts for, it has 5 basic pillars. And that, I think, your department, or with the support from your Dean Academic Affairs, you can introduce these 5 pillars through your university, and you can talk to your state government also, you can talk to different stakeholders also, can get involved, and you can bring momentum in the entire state. What are those 5 pillars? One is advancing policy. So why not youth from your department, or from your university, or from the entire Haryana, different colleges, different streams, even from rural areas, can work on advancing policies? Why not they can take part while consultations for a state action plan on climate change for Haryana got built up or drafted. So they can definitely contribute in making policies which are favorable for your state, or which are favorable for your zones also, like northwestern part of Haryana, which is much fertile. If you see the other part, arid area, temperature goes beyond 45 degrees Celsius in summers, and those areas are getting like the areas in Rajasthan. So gradually the fertility of soil, the water vapors or moisture in the soil getting much higher evaporation. So the holding capacity of soil is getting deteriorated. So you cannot have the possibility to plant and then that plant gets survive for long. So here comes, you can definitely talk of your ideas, your your strategy, or your own experiences, your own best practices to your government through proper channel, and this university can play a major role in making felicitation of your university youth or other youth, while making or drafting. Or you can, like I was recently in the Maharashtra in Pune, and they did one big thing, like they organized a workshop or a program on climate manifesto. like Pune is going to have elections, like Haryana is also going to have elections, I think local bodies election in this month. I'm not sure the date, but it's been announced. The same way Pune did, they organized a physical climate, consultation from different stakeholders by calling commissioners, former commissioners, politicians, academicians, and I was one among them, to talk on climate manifesto. Why not the people ask their, future leaders, the potential, upcoming corporators, do announce a climate manifesto while entering into elections. They should say, our territory, maybe a panchayat, maybe a tehsil, maybe a ward in the municipality. They should announce, this is my priority and my manifesto include the climate concerns like reducing the level of certain pollutants from the air in my ward, making the possibility of quality drinking water in my ward. We shall not allow people to waste drinking water for lawn, like planting the lawns, watering the lawns, or washing the cars. So such leaders has to come up and develop a local climate manifesto for making the city more ecological way, more with the thinking and more with the citizen-centric participation. You see, we expect prime minister to make the entire country beautiful, peaceful. It's not possible from one man until the entire sections, all sections of the society, community, religions don't come and take part and contribute from them. Then on, and we can also make them accountable. We can raise questions. We can, like Dr. Saab has, talked about the certain cities. These cities are struggling with, nowadays, the major problem of solid waste. You see Panchkula, you see Chandigarh. And if we have gone to Delhi, say 10, 20 years back, we only talk of Delhi because of huge waste, getting heaped together and getting a form of mountain at the bypass. Nowadays, it's very common in every city. Chandigarh is having the same. Panchkula is getting criticized for that. And who is accountable for that? Not municipality, not any leader, but we are the responsible persons because we have not made a check on our consumption pattern. We have to see, and we are highly consumeristic society and we are highly egoistic society because we have the power of money, we have the buying power, we have the capacity to purchase, and that is actually killing the environment, and that is actually killing the earth, and we have only one earth. So we shall not flaunt our buying powers, purchasing power. We shall restrict ourselves through making ourselves responsible, what to buy, when to buy, what not to buy. And there's a rat race. There's a very popular term, rat race. We are actually rats. Why rats are famous? Accumulation. Rats like to accumulate, and we shall not accumulate resources which we require. We shall use it and go ahead, not accumulation, because accumulation somehow makes somebody deprived. Some communities deprived of those resources, some people deprived of those resources. And I shall not use, but it's my free will and my own thoughts. And we should learn good things from people. We shall not see the other side also. If I recall my interaction with many sadhus and many Nagas in Uttarakhand, in Himachal, the best one thing which I like from them is because they don't accumulate. They say we used to move, and wherever we get, we eat and we go ahead. We don't keep like one sack of wheat with us in vehicle, 4 quintals of wheat. They say we rely on nature, we know how to sustain. They sustain on basic and bare minimum. I shall not say you follow them, but learn good things and adopt certain things in your own pattern, in your own life. So I do so. And further, I was on education for certain, to advancing policy was one thing. Second is transforming the learning environment. Definitely you are in the university and you have the power, you have the resources, you have the network. Why not transform the learning environment? We shall switch from the conventional learning to somehow practical based learning. What our students are learning, they learn the principles of photosynthesis, they learn the principles of greenhouse gases, buoyancy, but they should practically see what is photosynthesis. How is the life of a plant? How it grew? I don't know who have the patience, but I have the patience to sit, for the whole night under a tree just to see how the flower blooms. Because when you sleep and when rise in the morning, you'll see flowers are in the flower bed. But I have the curiosity how it blooms. Have that curiosity among the children to see, to go with the nature, to sit with the nature, to closely observe the natural processes. So transforming the learning environment. Learning environment doesn't mean here only class environment. In any kind of streams where you want exposure of your trainees or your students with the basics and the exact in the reality. Third thing is motivating youth and making them trainers. Youth can learn in the university and simultaneously they can translate those learning to those who cannot afford to the Kurukshetra University or the learning institutions. And that change shall go on. And I used to call it as a youth to youth led network. Those youth who have the affordability or the capacity to be in the university, and they should go to the surrounding areas, to the far-flung areas or the areas which they want to adopt, and can transform that environment through their learnings from the educational institutions and make them change agents. Fourth one is advocating the local solutions. What are the local solutions? Local solutions, no doubt, you have to recall your, recall from your own grandparents. What they used to do to survive the heat. What they used to do survive the winters. And I am again saying, we are against the odds. We want temperature of the air conditioner to be 16 and using quilt in the night. Why? This is going totally against the nature. And this is the kind of lifestyle or say behavioral problem. So you should study the basics of sciences. If you want to use AC, if you cannot survive the heat, definitely use AC, use 5-star rating ACs and have the habit of the temperature to set around 24, 25 or 23, not 16, 17, 18. Because we are making others, deprive of, the temperature settings. We are cold, we are feeling cold, we are feeling like Shimla in our room. But the other side, people who are on the streets, those who are sitting or lying behind your, exhaust, they are having the heat. So we have to make a balance. And here comes the climate justice also. We are not doing justice. We are making ourselves with so comfort that we are ignoring, the side of people who cannot afford to have. So have the natural system flourish, have the natural system, move on, and have the other peoples to go with the nature also. So this is what, like I was looking for. And I have the kind of environment which Haryana is having, like, high temperature in summers, cold in winters. So why not, definitely like Aditya ji has, narrated a story like solar power plants, like, wind power plants, like, so Haryana has got the potential to have that kind of, solar energy, power generation. And the kind of, like power consumption, like I accounted for 47% of power, like carbon dioxide emissions from power generation in Haryana. So we can lower down through solar plants. And in Chandigarh, there's a bylaws now, to a certain size of plot of land, one has to install solar power plant over the roof. So this is how the municipalities in Haryana, be the municipal board, नगर पालिका हो चाहे नगर पंचायत हो, हर लेवल पे ये चीजें करी जा सकती हैं. And इसके लिए who can take a momentum? Youth can take up a momentum. They can take this momentum to the municipalities, meet their mayors, meet the chairperson, and ask for passing these agendas in their local houses and get vetted from the state governments and make the entire be the city, be the small city, be a village or panchayat. They can, they can exhaust the potential of solar energy from the Haryana. Further, sir, your department is Department of Commerce. So I was thinking, like, this is the time for e-commerce. And e-commerce has definitely made a contribution in reducing the cost, in reducing the, setting up certain infrastructures. So this e-commerce industry has to go with, further set of, advancements. And youth shall know, because commerce is considered to be a core subject, and e-commerce is, everywhere you'll find e-markets, or, like environment friendly things. So environment friendly commerce, and you have to teach, and people who are in your department and doing research, they should learn, they should somehow develop strategies, how like commerce definitely means buying and selling, but what to buy and what to sell. We have to make a check also on this like commerce industries. Coming out of university and setting up an industry or a factory or developing a business, without ethics. So ethics shall be open in the commercial sector, because you talk of environment, Aditya can talk of environment, I can talk of environment. If industrialists cannot listen, if the persons who are with certain background cannot listen, they cannot go for green technology transfers, they cannot reduce the carbon emissions, they don't commit, they do not follow guidelines, they escape things, then there's no use of talking. So you should inspire and influence the youth to take up and set up model, and those model can be advocated by at certain platforms and can be replicated at a higher side in the entire industrial belts, because Haryana is having much industries. So there's a lot of scope for e-commerce industries within Haryana and within small townships of Haryana, and also ethical, because if you see I cannot criticize from this platform to a particular department, but I can definitely say lack of ethics in the commercial sector is actually putting developing grave for others, and it has to be addressed. And kind of environment, and I'll refer here one line like green commerce and green product, green price, and green promotion. So we can utilize these patterns, and definitely there were 3 R's, and which we were practicing since our childhood. That times we haven't read 3 R's, but we were practicing, like we were reusing things, we were recycling. But nowadays it has to be taught to recall those things to our young generations. But 2 double R's are also added. One is rot and one is refuse. So we should learn what to refuse. We are not refusing anything, we are accepting everything, we are accepting garbage. So we need to be very careful in our lifestyle and our behavior also, and behavior accounts for self and it doesn't account for others. So first, we have to set our behavior in a manner that we shall be accountable in our own way for making our earth, making our environment conserved. And for young generations, I shall say, like it's my lifestyle. I haven't used chlorofluorocarbons since my childhood. I don't use perfumes. I don't use, sprays. I only use fountain pen. This is how, you can, switch your lifestyle to, fairly lifestyle. And definitely your one step counts a lot. If you can switch over from, use and three Renault pen or any other pen to a fountain pen, and I am using for say 20 years. I was sitting in a temple yesterday and one person demanded for pen to write something. I gave my pen. He said, "Sir, I am very happy to see this pen after 20 years. See, these are small things, but it inspires others. So let us take a commitment. Better we don't talk of our neighbors. Better we don't talk of our seniors or father or grandfather, because they cannot change. We can change ourselves and can demonstrate our fair practices, good practices, and environment friendly practices to our parent. Because I had conflict with my parents also, because he used to water lawns with freestyle type. I said, you use mug, you use like sprinkler, but never. We used to say, "Tum mujhe padhaoge." So we have to see, and we never have to have conflicts. We have to convince to change, convince to transform, and do as much as you can to inspire others. This is how, I want to conclude my, talk here. And my, thinking rests on inspired and getting inspired. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vivek ji. Indeed, a very inspiring and a very thought-provoking and a very practical, say, address. You see, India, we all know, had been at the helm of the affairs for over a millennium. How could we really sustain our progress for a millennium? Whereas today we find we are unable to sustain it even for a century. Probably our lifestyle was such that we were aligned with the environment. And small things do make a really big difference. Sir, when we were in NSS, we used to give a small target to the students that every day you just save one polythene bag. We can't give them big targets like don't use polythene because that will never happen. But okay, at least we can save one. When you save one, you save 365 in an year. And when you pollute 365 lesser bags in a year, I think so we really make a big difference by our small actions. So indeed, a very inspirational address. Sir, we have a long list of, say, comments, questions from the audience who have been really very receptive, right? So I'll just take a say quick reference to these questions, and I would request the panelists to please address to these questions. So, sir, the first question which we have today is from Garima, right? Garima, she says, sir, I have a question. How can we reduce the smoke due to the burning of hustle, due to non-burning of hustle? Now, you see, this is a big problem. So what can be some of the alternatives?
May I? Yeah.
Sure.
See, there are various models propagated in Haryana and Punjab. If you go through Google and you find out several YouTubes, and young people have demonstrated certain technologies are available, but farmers are resisting because of technology cost. And government is also thinking, I don't know what this present government will do, but various good examples like from the crops, the remaining crops, they are manufacturing ropes, they are manufacturing coir, for carpets or other things. So this technology is there, and many good farmers, I have listened to them from Barnala, from Punjab. My friends are there, and he himself has restricted, and he's also associated with us, and he is restricted himself practicing for like burning paddy, stubble burning. And he was being criticized from his family members what to do, why not, but he has practiced, and he has practiced at a lower level, but he is trying to bringing the technology, the machines for making you like how to turn down the entire crop so that it is a raw material for the other industry. And like yesterday I was discussing for like the same way coconut, the cities are struggling with tons of heap of coconut shells, because we are having coconut water and we are throwing to the people who are serving, and what they are doing, they are throwing it into the dumping ground. So yesterday we got a machine in Chandigarh, and we are engaging women to develop coir out of the husk generated out of coconut. So the husk has to be generated from these crops, and that husk can be the raw material for various other industries, and they are buying those husks. So this can be one example.
So really, we can have lots and lots of say alternate usages of this. Yes. The point is, where there is a will, there is a way.
Definitely, sir.
Sir, we have we have a long list of questions, so we'll be little fast with those. We have another question by a wonderful student, Sophia Garg. She says, if we follow organic agriculture, will the yield be sufficient for increasing population? How can we deal with the issue? Yes, we have a recent example from Sri Lanka who switched over to organic, and the point is really very well taken, that how are we really going to say balance this organic with the increasing demand for food?
See, it's even Aditya ji can also rope in by the time I just have my thoughts here. like Sophia has very beautifully pointed, yeah, we cannot meet out the demands as per the rising population. And it is not the case of India also. It is in the entire world. Some countries cannot produce. They are depending upon the other countries. So we have to have, interlinked issues. How this is interlinked issues, and definitely, if I, this is related to a population. So government, not only government, but we have to address this issue, with togetherness. If you want to use synthetic for the production, for the higher production, and we are yielding, various diseases out of it, then it's of no use. So we have to think over, and all issues are interrelated. Migration is related to with the population, and migration accounts for huge population or that high density in the cities, and cities cannot have the capacity to handle those populations. So these are intermingled issues. And organic agriculture is a solution to it, but it is expensive also. If you go to any mart and if you compare the packaging of products with the green and they are ensuring the organic products and the non-organic products, you'll find, I think, double the cost. If you go for lentils, it will cost you double if you are purchasing organic. And everybody cannot afford it. People who are living in slum, those who are laborers, they cannot afford. They will definitely satisfy their stomach by having something in the stomach. So this is wrong, but definitely there's a way also. But we have to work on the other issues which are linked to, that is population. And our government is definitely thinking on these lines and how to address the population concern in South Asian countries. So, and population is also pressurizing the pressure on the earth's resources. So, and we are fully responsible for it. Like we are two in family, and ahead of me, there's only one person. So we are thinking and we are having in our own discourse, in our own way. So let everybody has to think, and question is very right. Aditya, if you can have your own.
Yeah, Dr. you're saying is fine, but I think this is a misnomer. I think the press, the way they have reported about Sri Lanka, the country has not just fallen because of agriculture. What happens with organic agriculture is that you have to stabilize it as per the place. Like, for example, you just can't use the simple philosophy that, okay, let's convert all the fertilizers to organic fertilizers and things will grow. So organic fertilizers, you have to choose which type of organic fertilizers has to be given to which crops. So those issues are being investigated now, and a lot of a lot of good cropping is done by organic culture. And now, if I'm like what I see in Haryana happening today and parts of Western Uttar Pradesh, a lot of organic manures are being given by companies like Tata and all, which are as good as an NPK fertilizer. There's no difference. Like I was looking at the crop yield of these coming, it is as good as the crop yield coming from NPK fertilizers. So it is the only problem is we are not at present, the experience is not there of mixing and matching the right manure because to the right crop. So that's one issue. Second issue is the price, what Mr. Dr. is talking about. The price again is slightly distorted out here. Because you see all the Kripko, or whether it is all our fertilizers company, they are highly subsidized by the government of India. And not only in India, globally, they are being subsidized by the governments, where they're getting a lot of subsidies, which if given to organic industry, the price difference will not be more than 3 or 4% or maximum 5%. So unfortunately, we are subsidizing a lot of these inorganic companies. So, so that's why this price distortion is coming in the market. And thirdly, regarding the organic produce, you see the kind of the quality of the quality which you get with organic. Like there have been experiments in the last 20 to 30 years. Like I keep my close association with Indian Agriculture Research Institute, IARI, so which is the premier agriculture body in the country. Is that it all depends on the type of fields you are setting, the type of cropping you are doing, and in case if we are able to plan it better, it's more nutritious. The organic crops are more nutritious. They have less of disease. And the kind of land, like for example, you see the biggest threat we are facing, climate change. Basically, climate change. There's another whole chapter of soil, which I didn't touch because of the time paucity of half an hour. The thing is that soil is also losing a lot of carbon. And if the soils keep losing carbon, then the problem is that you keep putting as much of NPK you want, the things will keep getting bad from bad to worse. So with organic agriculture, what is happening is we are able to restore a lot of carbon back into the soil. So that is another very big thing for organic agriculture. And I'm quite sure in the next 20 years, you will see a lot of shift happening to organic culture. It is not that we'll be living with inorganic only. A lot of major shifts are coming, tectonic shifts are coming for agriculture, organic agriculture. And you will see the prices will keep going down as the time proceeds.
Thank you for your great inputs. We have a question by Mr. Sachin, who is from Youth Innovative Society, Chandigarh. He says, what is the model to build green Chandigarh? So maybe we can have a one-liner or a small, say, answer coming from you.
See, Chandigarh is itself a single and only model in the entire country, which was conceived, immediate after the independence. And it is the urban model and it's a beautiful master plan. And Chandigarh is beautiful. Chandigarh is sustainable also. And Chandigarh has not been, or to be made beautiful. It is beautiful, but it has to be sustained. That's a big question. How it will sustain another 50 years or 60 years or 100 years, that's a question mark. Because the city was made for, somewhere around 4 to 5 lakh of population. And if you see the 2011 census, it is above 10 lakhs. It is million plus city. Resources are limited in the terms of, say, land resources limited because it's a 114 square kilometer city. There's no expansion to Punjab or, Haryana. And everybody is eyeing at Chandigarh. Who are eyeing at Chandigarh? All persons who are looking forward to learn, all those persons who want to have, per capita income little high in, say, informal sector. Street vendors are in the city, informal sectors, daily wagers are in the city. So Chandigarh is pressurized now. And under various missions of Government of India, like Smart City Mission, like, Amrut Mission, like, Urban Livelihood Mission, like, PMAY, like, these missions are supporting the city with lots of funding and lots of, avenues to develop alternatives or, upkeeping the city, upkeeping the city strength. If you see, Chandigarh was a model, like water don't used to stay on the roads. If I used to, read in childhood, Chandigarh was a model. And from our city, officers used to come to Chandigarh to learn. But nowadays, city is holding the, water logged during rains. Why? Because the pressure is high on the city. And that is what Amrut is doing. Amrut is supporting for rejuvenation. So definitely we are a beautiful city and we will be beautiful until and unless all the corners of the city and sects don't join hands and they do consider not only Chandigarh, but every city as their, own city. Then only, because we are not from Chandigarh, but we think we are from Chandigarh, we are part of city, we are contributing. So this thinking has to be in every citizen because use and throw culture has to go. And I always advocate for the youth to switch over from use and throw polythene bags, use and throw pens, use and throw plastic gadget and disposal of those things. And circular economy concept is now emerging. And we have to switch over from linear economy to circular economy. And here comes again the role of youth. And Sachin, I'm sure, I think I met Sachin somewhere. And I think this organization is also doing a good job in the city. And such people definitely must join hands. And not only join hands with the city of Panchkula also, city of Mohali also. So we have to work in, symbiosis, in, with togetherness.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
and,
hope
and another small thing I like to add here is that to make the city more sustainable, we have to follow for certain norms. Like, for example, number one, we have to get more of clean energy. Like, for example, you'll have to work more towards putting solar panels, and you'll have to put in also alternative form energy. Secondly, transportation is a very big thing as far as cities are concerned. So Chandigarh will have to fast move towards a transportation which is clean. That is, either put electric buses, either install a metro in case if you feel that traffic is too much, but definitely going for electric buses and the alternative forms of transport, and encourage cycling, because Chandigarh, the way the Chandigarh has been built, there's a lot of facility, like going from one, if you are working in adjoining sectors and all, you have to you have to buy things. So you can easily do your cycling inside sectors. So this is, I think, something which transportation is a key where if you want to make a green, of course, planting trees, making it green is definitely part of it, but transportation, and as Dr. Trivedi says, it's about how you manage your waste. In case you can get your waste properly segregated, in your, so you are segregating it, you are recycling it well, and if you are also able to get the transportation right, then I'm quite sure you will have a different experience in the city.
And very recently, a fleet of electric buses has been added to the city, and I think they have planned to switch over from entire buses on diesel to electric, and possibly in coming days. And Chandigarh was once the cycling capital. I used to say cycling capital of the India, but nowadays they have revived that. The cycling paths are distinguished from the main roads, and there's a network of clear cycling paths, and a project of this under smart city has also been established. So anybody who want a ride on cycle, they can just hire it, and then they can go and leave it in other stations. So there's a network of, I think, say more than 2,000 stands in the city. So it will make a change, and youth are enjoying. I used to watch them opposite to our office and backside of our office. They are taking cycles and moving in the city. Tourists are also moving. So this is gradually happening, and this is by behavior only. And we have to set our egos down.
So with Vivekji in the municipality, I think so, the right person at the right place with the right mindset, doing the right things, right? Let us hope that it's easier to enter into Chandigarh and it's easier to drive in Chandigarh in the days to come, hopefully. You see, we have some very good comments, one by Poonam and one by Redmi. They say we are studying the environment from class first to class graduation, but the point is, how do we actually put into action? Yes, indeed, this needs introspection. And you see, another comment is now science and technology seem to be contradictory to each other. We can't leave any one of them. How can we go towards, say, the development considering sustainability and environment? And third wonderful comment is again by Dr. Nitin Mahajan. He says that university curriculum should be linked with strategic development goals. I think so. Indeed, these are really very important issues. Then, sir, your one-line comments on how we can convert these theory into reality. Of course, individual level behavioral changes are an issue, but then after all, these are a systemic level, say, issue as well. So maybe, sir, a small answer from you, Aditya-ji and Vivek-ji.
Sir, definitely, that's what I said, sir, that when we are looking for solutions to climate crisis, because these are this crisis is because the way we have evolved in the last 100 years, whether it's energy, whether it is use of resources or misuse of resources, as I would call it. So the solutions will also flow from each and every domain of the society. It is not that there's one magic trick, because if it was there, it would have been applied by now, because the situation is so bad. But there is no magic wand. We have to go sector by sector, pocket by pocket, trying to look at solutions. Like, for example, if I am doing, say, for example, I am into, say, it's a commerce background people, we're talking about, it's a business, we are doing a business. So if I'm into manufacturing, I'll have to study how can I reduce my greenhouse gas, how I can optimize on my raw materials, how can I, the external problems which I create due to my pollution, how do I reduce that? So all those things I have to think from a manufacturing point of view. Similarly, from a logistics point of view, I'll have to think, what is the supply chain I'm having? What kind of emissions it is producing? Can I reduce my supply chain emissions? Can I improve upon the way I'm producing goods and I'm distributing goods? So every manufacturer, every person who's giving a service, or a person who's manufacturing good, a person, whether you are in agriculture, you are in service, you are into any sector of the society. I could be like even in university, if I'm sitting, how do I make my university carbon neutral or carbon zero net zero university? So everybody will have to look at a solution in their domain. That is when a solution will be found. We just cannot expect, as Dr. Trivedi said right in the beginning, that the government and the Prime Minister will find all the solution. No, this we have to find internally. So that is how we have to move forward.
Very right. So indeed, with this, we find most of the questions, queries, issues, comments are addressed to. And today's event has been really a great event, which sets in a chain of thoughts, so that we can really do some introspection, but not merely introspection, it's a time for action also.
Yes.
And as Dean Madam very rightly gave a direction to for future, we definitely look forward to a very fruitful association with the Climate Reality Project. And we hope that by joining hands, the two institutions can definitely work towards signing an MOU or towards, say, a more concrete action plan, so that we can really address two very important issues raised by our youth, who have said that all theory is fine, but now it's a time for action, because we don't have any other place where we all can migrate. Maybe if you migrate to Canada 10 years time, again, Canada is also going to become the same. But it's better to build a better Kurukshetra, a better Haryana.
Yes.
Very true.
So, sir, I'm extremely thankful to you for your very insightful address, for your wonderful thoughts, and for your, say, very scholarly deliberations, which will be really very useful for, say, the galaxy of panelists, galaxy of attendees who are with us. I'm extremely grateful to my wonderful colleagues, Dr. Subhash, Dr. Virender Punia, Dr. Ashok, Dr. Vakil, Dr. Nitin, Dr. Ritu, Dr. Tanuja Talwar, a host of our research scholars who are here, and of course, yes, wonderful students as well, who have joined this. Today has been, sir, say that they have an exam also, and so it's been very pressing upon the time. But still, you know, they have joined, and they have been very interactive as well. And I'm sure we are going to hold a small meeting after this and see what we can do to do this. And your idea of, say, a state action plan on climate change for Haryana, this is really one clue which I have taken, and definitely let us see how we can, say, build upon this. So thank you all the participants for your very encouraging comments, Dr. Rashmi, Dr. Tanu, and we look forward to your presence and your support and your inputs in the days to come, because after all, your presence matters a lot, and it really, say, motivates us as panelists as well, because after all, you know, these thoughts are for you. You want to say something, sir?
Even you can go ahead with United Nations Sustainable Development Coordination Center in Chandigarh. It's for Haryana only. It is working with Niti Aayog. And it has an office in Sector 33 and in Secretariat also. So you can get, you know, your students, like Dr. Nitin ne bola hai ki university curriculum mein hona chahiye. So you can get linked to UN SDG CC, which is especially for Haryana.
Great. So we'll definitely we'll consider them. We are on the verge of making new course curricula for the NEP, and you see this is a very I would say a timely event which gives us input, and we'll definitely consider all your thoughts and your inputs, and look forward to a very fruitful professional and personal association with you all, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. And of course, I would put on record thanks to Bhavesh, who has been very proactively communicating with me, and Ria for their technical support for making today's event. And also thanks to Dr. Pooja Chopra, because, you know, it was a discussion with her that really paved the way for, say, making this event happen. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.